She ready.
She ready.
It's that time, y'all. It is that time. Love and War time right here on the Love and War podcast, the Love and War live show. We are about to talk on this show. We're getting ready to talk the love child. The love child. Infidelity and the love child. You know what I mean?
Ebony J. We miss you, honey bunny.
Yes. We are live right here. Ebony J. We are live right here from Los Angeles, LA. I'm your girl, Delight.
And I'm Ebony Mose.
And this is big homie, Mr. E.
Mr. E.
Live from D-Town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The male perspective of the show. Y'all get ready, because this is our Sunday Night Live show right here on Instagram Live. And we just thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're catching a replay on YouTube, if you have a topic for our show you would like to get a male and female perspective of, all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is email us, right, Ebony? We'll drop them with that email address.
The email address is loveandwartalk@gmail.com. And please follow the Love and War Talk IG page. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you guys can, catch up on all of our past shows. We are trying to build our followers and our fan base up. That way this show maybe can really take off one day.
Right. we doing it. We're
trying to get these viewers up.
Right. And then, hit that notification bell on YouTube. So every time we upload a video, you guys can be notified and you can tune in, like, and share. Tell somebody about the show. Amen?
Amen.
All right.
Won't he do it?
Okay. Well, check it out. This show, ladies and gentlemen, is we entitled it Infidelity and the Love Child. I'm having all kind of eye issues today, child. But Infidelity and the Love Child. And this happened to be a topic that did nobody write in about, but it's something that I think is plaguing families. Yeah. And the Supremes dropped a song called The Love Child back in 1969, baby. So it ain't just been happening. Okay. Men been stepping out on women and women been stepping out on men and having what's up, Cool Films? What's up, Baby the Realist? Okay. They've been stepping out for a long time. We got a lot of celebrities have been caught up in a lot of love child drama. And we have some love child situations that hit home in our family too. And we know a lot of families deal with this. This is a part of relationships and love and war. It is. And so what really hit home this week for me is one of my favorite pastors. And I had to pray over this before I did the show, because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to talk down on somebody, because not only are they dealing with it in their family, like I said, we deal with it in our family as well. Family secrets, love children, people, hide family secrets and whatnot. And sometimes those things do come out in the light, because what they say, what you do in the dark will come to light. Yep. So I follow this YouTuber. What did he say? I'm living my best life in Oakland today with Mike Jones. Mike Jones. Oh!
They still doing them like that.
So I follow this YouTuber, Larry Reed, and he put out a story saying allegedly that Bishop William Murphy has an alleged love child, and he's one of my favorite gospel artists. He's a pastor of a big church out in Atlanta. And allegedly he has a love child. And he's paying child support because it came back 100% or 99%, 99.99%, whatever. He is a father, allegedly. All this. I don't know the William Murphy family. I follow him. Love you too, baby. Love you too. Thank you guys so much for listening. I see y'all getting a show on Revolt soon. Well, you better speak it into existence.
We gotta talk that into existence.
You know what I'm saying? So, allegedly.
What up, Mrs. Sophia Jones?
Allegedly, one of my favorite pastors, has, he said supposedly that happened before he became pastor. God can use anyone. That is so true. That is so true. And I'm not saying this today. I'm just saying he's one person in the media that has come out that has an alleged love child, even though if maybe he wasn't a pastor at the time. But he's been raised in the church and he's been married, got 4 children. Now he got a 5th child by this side chick, this jump off. Apparently she worked with him somehow in the church. She's involved in the church, and I don't mean to disrespect her or him, but let's just talk about it, y'all, because it's these things are being kept secret, and the only people that are being really affected in this situation, not only the family, the woman, the wife, and the other children, but the love child.
That's right.
It's a lot of hurt and pain that comes along with being a secret.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to be, you don't necessarily get to have a father in your life. Right. And, and in our situation,
in some situations, the love child is not even a love child. It's just maybe somebody, slept with somebody, and now you got a baby mama, and the baby mama can't even get the father to step up because he wasn't trying to be a baby daddy anyway. You know what I mean? He was just cheating or whatever the case might be. Like, for example, Kurt Frost and Rashida. You know what I mean? He ain't been there for that girl until recently, but, she was begging him to just be a father to the little boy. He didn't have nothing to do with what we did. You know what I mean? So now let me read what Bebe the Real is saying, because she said, I love that y'all talking about this because people are scared to address the real ish. And that's so true. My sister was saying, sis, don't do this. I don't think we should talk about it. But if we can't be transparent and air our own family secrets and talk about this stuff, I just really want this to heal somebody. And I just really want, to say, and I think what Larry Reed is trying to say too is, how can you have spiritual sons that you're trying to help in church? And how can you be preaching and helping other people, but you are denying your own flesh and blood, and you don't have a relationship with your own child? Now, all this is alleged. Or you're not showing your mistakes too. Like, again, people need to show that it could happen to anyone. Like, as a pastor, again, that would have humbled him and really just showed and reflected how do you say, how, what's the word? I can't even find, but how familiar, or how he's just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? You make mistakes, relatable. You have relatable. Mm-hmm. That's the word I'm looking for. But you make mistakes, you fall, and then this, this is what's the right thing to do. You can be redeemed, and this is the right thing to do. Yeah. So
do you think it is the right thing? And let's talk from everybody's perspective. You're William Murphy's wife, okay? And unless it's allegedly, y'all, we're just using them as an example. There's all kind of people. Arnold Schwarzenegger jumped off with his maid, had produced a love child, Joseph. Allegedly, the president of the free world, Donald Trump, has a love child, allegedly. Okay. Michael Jordan was accused of having several love children. Okay, in 2006.
What did Michael Jackson have?
Not Michael Jackson, Joseph Jackson. Okay, Joseph Jackson.
I'm just asking. Michael Jackson had a whole bunch of love children.
Ebony J said, we live in an era where we as people are scared to live their truth. And it's so true. It's so true. And I think as a man of God, William Murphy has to be in his son's life. We all know the detrimental effects of
fatherless children. Motherless children.
Yeah, Abraham in the Bible was a biblical example. Oh my God, we can go into that. He jumped off with Hagar, and because his wife Sarah said, look, I'm knocking on 80 years old, baby. I'm gonna have to let you jump off with her and produce. Because I'm too old to have a baby. She didn't trust God. She didn't have faith that God was gonna give her his promise, which was, a son, so that they can, be a father of many nations. So yes, they had Ishmael, and then Sarah ended up having Isaac, and the rest is history. They say that's why we now deal with the issues of Israel and the Muslim countries as they battle, because one is the seed of Ishmael and one is the seed of Isaac, and he knows this.
Right.
People, we have to stand up and we have to say something, because we're dealing with the same thing, and we're going to talk a little bit about ours. It's really touchy. We just seen this individual last night at a family function, and we keep seeing the wife that is married to the man who we call father, we call dad. Now he's not our biological father, but my mother was married to this man for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Right. And he produced a child. Then we found out about it. Him and my mom were married for 30 years. When we found out the girl was 16, you do the math. We was doing the math. We was like, wait a minute. How is this his daughter? He was married to mama, and then you start feeling an enormous amount of guilt. because I feel guilty because I'm like, dang,
sister.
he wasn't even my biological father, but we were raised and had a good life with him, and she was denied her father. And so there's a lot of guilt that comes from being the love child and the people surrounding this love child. And unfortunately, she's connected to other people in her family, y'all. Okay? So you can you can go a little bit deeper and get a little uglier. And everybody hid the secret from us, and we never knew. And it's really hard.
She means the woman that produced the child, which is pretty much our stepsister.
And she was, she was related to our nieces and nephews. So we're all family regardless.
It's crazy, but
it's
a
deep.
situation. It's a deep situation.
It's a deep situation.
We also have a friend too going through the same thing, something similar, but it's just something similar. It's a touchy subject. Nobody really. It's a touchy subject,
and Ebony is really wanting to build a relationship with the young lady. And she was like, "Well, this might not be a good topic the day after we've seen her, child." And I'm like, you know what? But I'm going through this with William Murphy. He's in the news. One of our good friends that we're dealing with. Unfortunately, the baby's mother, the jump off or the side chick or whatever we gonna call her, that had the child, the out of wedlock. She's psycho. They've had to get restraining orders on her and everything. So unfortunately, as he wants to be a part of that child's life, and my friend would be willing, has forgiven the whole situation. But the lady has caused such a fit and a ruckus because
she's psychotic for sure.
So it causes all kind of dramas, y'all. It causes all kind of drama. This is not just our show, it's the people's show. Baby, the realest, what she say?
She said, not only does that affect the love child, it also affects the kids around, which it definitely does. The other children, the other siblings. Oh crap! How do you go back down there?
You touching too much now.
Yeah, this ain't the iPhone.
You touching too much. You can't be touching everything. The droid is real sensitive.
She said you're her sister, and you were not able to establish. And again, that's what I had told her last night too. But you weren't. You're not able to establish a relationship with her, and that's how I felt like she missed out. Not to say that we had the best life, but we didn't grow up in the city, and who's to say where she grew up? And that's what we don't know. But we was raised around horses and chickens. We had farms. We had a pool. We had a good house. All the grandkids, everybody. Like I grew up with my nephews and my nieces. We were all maybe 5 to 10 years apart in age, but we all grew up as like a family. We did Big Bear trips. We did rodeo shit. We did a lot of stuff that she missed out on.
Our parents had a restaurant, and we, had the luxury of having a family business and learning business at an early age. And he was a good provider. I can't say, I got my own set of issues because I kind of
had nothing to say this.
Well, I am gonna ask him.
Y'all be talking. Y'all be talking, and
I do have a question to ask you.
But I can dig it though. This is my time to listen because I've been, that's not something that I can relate to directly, but I know I've been exposed to a lot of situations around me where it was like a love child, and it's different to hear this perspective of it. So I just kind of been taking it all in. But what was you gonna ask me?
What I wanted to ask you is, from a man's perspective, why do you think our stepfather hid this from us? Why do you think William Murphy is hiding this? Is it just his reputation? What about the child? What about the betterment of a life? That is a person, that is a life. And it seems like men can just hide this and maybe just pay child support.
Well, back in the day, it used to be where the love child concept was hidden, where you had where Pawpaw had a little side chick way down the street. It wasn't no internet, it wasn't no social media, it wasn't none of that. So Pawpaw would have a side chick way on down the street and end up knocking the chick over. I mean, knocking the chick, knocking her up.
Knocking her down.
Knocking her up. And then she
knocking her up and down.
Knocking her up and down.
And then she get pregnant. And some of the people in the neighborhood knew that the child belonged to Pawpaw, but it just wasn't really spoke of. So as long as he sent a few dollars over there, everything was cool. But what you're saying is 100% correct. Ultimately, it really does affect the child, because the child in a subliminal way is being taught to be a secret, And then on top of that, you got your real family. And first and foremost, a man's job is to provide and protect. Okay. And a lot of times we as men, we hide things to protect everybody involved. Now, the other
Lord
part of
have
that
mercy.
is
Mm-hmm.
the principle is to make sure you don't put yourself in that position to begin with. Then you don't have to worry about having to come around later and protect everybody involved. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and as men, that's our first instinct. It's like, don't tell your old lady, not even because of the consequences, but you know, you don't want to see her hurt. You know, you don't want to see her.
I did feel a certain level of betrayal with my
Yeah.
mom.
And
It was for her, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was.
sided with my mom. She felt betrayed. She said, I knew it. I knew he was jumping off with this girl. That's what was just a trip. We was like, and you knew it? She's like, yeah, I knew they was messing around.
Yeah.
But I did know about this child, and our mother's main thing is why did they hide it and do that child like that? Because she was a victim
Right.
of a broken home. She was a victim of not having a mother or father in her life, and they said, how dare, she was like, how dare they do her like that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my mother's soul. You know, she got over the
Right.
hurt and that he was cheating and all that stuff, and it was immediately her thought went to the child.
Mm-hmm.
Bebe the
Right.
realist says they don't hide it from you. They're scared to lose their families.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
they
true,
would
too.
They would uproot everything and tarnish the reputation.
It did. Sometimes I wish, and I told this last night to a family member, sometimes I even wish that it never was exposed and we
Right.
didn't know about it. Another person, you can't, you know,
I
you
can't
just,
do it.
you kind of have to just,
It's
you
not
know,
an
roll
iPhone,
up. Yeah.
roll up.
Then somebody said consequences and
And
shame.
shame.
That's the reason why that he hid it. Consequences and shame. And I did think about my stepdad. I looked at him and I said, you know what, that had to be really hard to be faced with that decision. But as William Murphy, you know, his child is young enough. At this point, our dad was done is done, and the girl started surfacing and coming around, and we found out the truth you know, when she was around 16, but I don't know how long, what was going on behind the scenes. Everybody else knew in the family child but us. Okay, and everybody in the whole family, we talk about aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews, and people had to live
Told
with
a
this
secret. My stepbrother was the one that told me the secret that I had to release to everybody, but he had to hold on to this secret forever. He told me he used to have to take the baby, you know, the mother money and stuff like that. My own stepbrother had to, you know, hold this secret. So I mean, it's really deep. It's just sad, again, like I said, because I feel like she missed out on our life. We missed out on hers. And, you know, she's a beautiful girl. She looks just like my stepdad. And she should have grew up with all of us just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Versus being.
And how do you get that light? We can't get that time back. So I really wanted to say to William Murphy and his family, even his wife, and
don't
people
neglect the child. You know what I mean? If you're gonna take your husband back after cheating, you might as well accept the child, because
That's
it's
right.
like, if you're not gonna freaking leave, you know what I mean,
That's right.
and then say screw everything, then what's the point of staying? Like, you what they say, for better or for worse, you know what I mean? And if you'll take him back after cheating, and you know, then why would you you know, neglect the child and put that child in a position without a father? Because again, you know, like we said, what happens, there's so many motherless and fatherless children out here who are just screwed up.
There's a lot of problems that comes with that.
Into something great, but still.
Yeah. Well, Mr. E, what do you think about that? If the wife does, you know, take the husband and they can continue on, should they just go ahead and accept the child and try to be a blended family?
Well, the child, you got to remember that out of everybody involved, we know for a fact
the child
that
is innocent.
You know, the child is innocent. So if you decide to take him back, then yes, you should. It's no different than when a father finds out that a child is not his. That has absolutely nothing to do with the child. Now, it's his decision whether he actually wants to be in that child's life, but you got to keep that child in mind. You know what I'm saying? And as men, the real problem is that when you walk out, it's one thing to walk out on your old lady, but it's another thing to walk out on your old lady and have a child, and now you have people that are innocent in the balance of your infidelity, and now you got innocent people that are affected negatively. That's not fair.
That isn't fair. Let's see what cousin Bebe said. You know, she gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
She said, my husband said they hid it because they wanted to be seen as faithful and perfect and a good man. The point of cheating is not to get caught and it would be, you know, or it would be an open relationship, and most women aren't up for that. Think about it. Now that is out. What did you feel when the truth happened? Mm-hmm. That kills a man's pride. That's so true. What's up? Action Jackson is on, our old at least one Happy Meal. Lord have mercy.
Happy Meal.
Action Jackson is on, our boy from 97.9 to Beat Back in the Days, but he's on now in Waco. Congratulations to that,
bro.
So, you know, there's a lot of side effects that come with the love child. And there was a survey, and we did some research online about parents who cheat and how this affects the children. They surveyed 800 grown children, and they said 88.4% felt angry towards the cheating parent. That's a high number. And you don't want to raise a whole bunch of angry children, and I think that's what's wrong with society. And my thing is, as a man of God, and y'all,
including the existing children, they're talking about both angles, the existing and the current child.
And Bebe mentioned this. Our stepfather had a lot of pride. He was a man of God. He wanted to look as he was perfect. You know what I'm saying? We woke up.
Did listen to the gospel every day.
The word of God every day,
every morning.
Okay,
and he didn't really listen to the radio.
And still had, I mean, we would be riding down the street, listening to the audio Bible. So he did I feel bad for him, because there was a certain level of shame that must have come from all of this. But we have to think about the children and what that's going to do to them and the society growing up. And we raising a whole bunch of angry children. And then it said 62.5% felt ashamed and embarrassed.
Right.
Now you feel ashamed and embarrassed. You go through your life feeling like you are a secret.
An accident.
Yeah. 80.2 felt that it influenced their attitudes towards loves and relationships. So now
we talking about the motherless, fatherless children.
Now we're dealing with a generation of children, or a child, a life. Hey, the business bully, what's up?
Okay, Taz
daddy. So, but now we're dealing with children who are now they're having problems in growing into and our niece Kiki is on. What's up? Duh. It's Kiki.
Man, your party was off the chain.
Her party was off the chain. She had strippers jumping out of everywhere.
Booty everywhere. Schlongs everywhere. Booty everywhere.
Yo, that
man, we had a girl at the party, man, that wasn't even a stripper. Did you see? We had a girl at the party that was not even. No, one of them was a guest, and she ended up stripping. We got a 2-for-1 special, man.
We had 2 men, and then there was a woman. And the woman came, and she just set off another chick that came with our other niece, and she took off she stripped down to her bra and panties.
I think she was rolling on. She was rolling.
She was on some kind of pill.
But she was on it. She helped that stripper out, and then at the end of the night, she came up to me. She was like, "You know what? I was gonna ask her to split this money. You know what I mean? I'm looking at her.
You
like,
don't sit down somewhere. You was not ordered.
I will work for full. Looking at. No, I don't want to talk about it like that. But still, no, we didn't hire 2 strippers. We only hired 1, hun. Anyways,
if you decided to come in here and get down in your panties and bras for free, that's on you. How we going the children strippers only? I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry, Paul.
We went from strippers. We went from children and
crazy.
strippers. I'm so sorry.
You know,
stay on topic. Stay on topic.
Okay.
So, bottom line is we're dealing with then children who have it's hard for them to love. It's hard for them to trust. It's hard for them to have successful relationships with men or women, because they're so hurt and they've got so much emotional baggage and trash in their emotional bank.
You know, I have a good friend, remember, we ain't even gonna say his name. I used to date him too, but he stepped out on his marriage, and he had a child, and him and the baby mama was getting into it. They was up in court. The wife was going to leave him, but she ended up staying around and eventually accepting that extra son. You know what I mean? So, you know, they're working through it now still, you know what I mean? But what if, you know, again, you have women that are willing to take their man back, and they have to be ready to be that stepmom and play that role, you know what I mean? And be supportive of your husband and not make the situation any harder.
Because people make mistakes.
People do make mistakes.
People make mistakes. And not to say those children are mistakes, their action was a mistake, which led to a child being born out of wedlock. And now that innocent child needs a mother, needs a father, and should have the best upbringing. Right. And if you're a pastor at a church, especially, you need to set an example. And I'm just a little disappointed. But I love Minister Murphy. I believe that William Murphy is a great man of God. I listen to him on Periscope on Thursday mornings. He got 1,000 people praying. I'll be a part of his prayer. I watch, his live services. I love his music. I buy his music. That's how I get my worship in the morning. Okay. And then to hear this.
Look at nephew Terrence.
Yeah, Remo Pearson, professional skater. Our nephew is here too. We talk about family secrecies, and we talking about the jump. We talking about.
Can I make the situation a little lighter?
Can we, please?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Because it's deep.
Okay, I'm going to make the situation a little lighter, okay? This may be like, why you ask that, E? But what happened to the side chicks that would be like, you know what? I'm pregnant, but, or, you know what? I'm going to make sure I don't get pregnant because I don't want to break up your family. Like, what happened to them side chicks? You know what I'm saying? It used to be.
It depends on how good your life is. Because again, nowadays, if you a good nigga, they want to keep that baby. If you a, you know what I mean? If you ain't worth shit about shit, they don't want you.
Especially if he a ball player.
To the clinic. If he a ball player, they trying to go straight to the bank.
Back in the day, you used to have side chicks and say, hey, listen, don't use your debit card on this side of town because we don't want it to come up on the statement. Don't run no lights on this side of town because we don't want the ticket to come to the house. And you need to get out the phone with me and spend some time with your wife so she don't suspect what's going on.
No, those side chick days is gone over. Yeah. Well, those are some professional side chicks.
Hey, I've been a professional side chick. See,
here she goes.
I know. I got, sometimes you got to have sympathy for women like that.
Right.
I mean, coming from the side chick's perspective, now you ain't never been no pregnant side chick.
I definitely ain't gonna be no pregnant side chick.
Yeah, know what I'm saying.
No matter how much money he got.
Back in the day, chicks used to be like, I know one thing, he married. I sure ain't gonna let him knock me up and go him back to his family. And
no.
And it's not their fault because at the end of the day, a man should be accountable for not only his own actions, but his situation and his family. It's our job to protect. But I was just curious. I was like, what happened to the side chicks that would just like protect you?
Well, let's talk about those side chicks because this one in particular in our relationship with our mother, she apparently had been there.
The whole time since I was a little girl.
And now she, after a 30-year marriage with our mother, guess who our stepdad is with?
He with her.
With the old girl.
He's
with old girl. Her. She waited. Got her man.
She got her man.
Waited 30 years.
I had to tell her last night too when I saw her. I said, you know what? You obviously was in love with him. You was around since I was a little girl before I even knew it. So it's like, how can you obviously had some kind of bond with my stepdad and nobody else knew about. You've been around all this time. So you know what I mean?
Terrence said, I know, baby. I know, Remo. I know. Ebony did not want us to talk about this.
I didn't want to talk about it. This heifer here, but you know what? We're going to have to keep it rolling.
I mean, it's just a part of life. We ain't shaming nobody.
We definitely not shaming nobody.
We love our stepdad. We love Pops.
And I love my stepsister. Like I said, she's a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Seeing her last night, and like I said, it made me sad thinking like all the family stuff that she missed out on when we were growing up. You know what I mean? Like all the big beer trips, all the rodeo, running our restaurant, all the stuff that we used to do. We had a great life as kids. You know what I mean? And I don't know. And again, who's to say that too? Because I don't want to say she didn't know. We don't know what kind of family she had.
Well, that's the part.
But
of
again,
she connect.
Just the family. I guess it's the family connection. You know what I mean?
Speak about it. But at the end of the day, we talking about side chicks. Now, you got to be in love with that man because you done had a baby by him and you stuck around all them years, and so there are women out there. She wasn't trying to get caught. My mother didn't have no straight up evidence,
right?
But my mother knew something was going on. But just, at that point in time, we didn't have Instagram and Facebook and social media and all that kind of stuff that we have right now.
There's hella people out here cheating on their girls and having babies on the side. And bottom line,
look at Carmello, Anthony, and Lala.
Wrap it up. Oh, did he have something on the side?
Wait a minute.
Did I not know about
Girl,
this?
you missed that. That's why they've been going through marital problems. On Lala, he just had a little girl, beautiful little girl, allegedly, and the baby girl looks a lot like him. So. And I believe that him and Lala, even though she's a woman of a certain stature, I believe she's trying to really kind of show publicly that we're not together. But then I think behind the scenes, she's trying to work it out with her husband. But how does Lala move forward? Do you That man doesn't have a daughter. You gave him one son. Do you be that person that prevents him from having a relationship with his only daughter?
Our friend.
It's a lot of women that do though.
They do.
Women, they have that. They just can't accept it yet. I think they come around, but it hurts at first when you find out. You know what I mean? No matter when you find out, it hurts. You know what I mean? And then you're not really ready to share your father or your child's father with, especially if you don't have a bunch of kids or don't have other kids. It's like, okay, now I got to share.
William Murphy's situation, they have 4 children together, him and his current wife. So now he has a son. He already has sons and daughters from his current wife. So now he has a son, allegedly, with this lady, and the baby is about 6 years old. And there's court records and everything. If you go online, you research this court cases. It's all public records. This man is paying $1,000 a month, allegedly, some child support for this little boy. And I don't think he's keeping it real with his congregation. And is it anybody's business? No. But at the end of the day, I want to know that the guy who is my pastor of my church and who's leading me is doing the right thing. And the right thing is to not be an infidel. Hypocrite. And a hypocrite. An infidel and a hypocrite.
Everybody makes mistakes. We all fall. and we all get up.
Let me say this. There's a difference, and I'm not condemning William Murphy either. I'm not condemning him. But there's a difference between making a mistake and a lifestyle. You see what I'm saying? So if you have a relationship that's a lifestyle, then that's more hypocritical, because this is something you are doing perpetually to hurt your family, but then you're preaching something different.
That's right. That makes you a hypocrite.
Yeah. So that's different versus making one mistake. Now, if he had got a hooker pregnant, then it's different. But if it's an ongoing relationship, and everybody makes a mistake. Don't get me wrong. Everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes our mistakes are bigger than the other times. But if you have if your lifestyle is an ongoing thing, then at some point you have to believe what it is that you teach in order to get other people to believe what you teach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And there was a survey too, and it says that the survey confirms it's a Nogales, whoever this article that I've been reading about. They did the survey on the 800 grown children and how this affects them. But Nogales also did a survey confirming that the children feel betrayed when the parent cheats on a spouse, whether you're 6, 16, 26 years of age at the time of the parent's infidelity. These children are left with psychological issues that unresolved can plague them throughout life. And that is what we all have to stop. And so even the woman, I know, Bebe said, she also said, let he who was out sin cast the first stone. That's right. We have all sinned and fall short from the glory of God. Right. And no sin is greater than the next. I agree with you, Bebe.
Right.
But that is, we just have to do, I think that person has to do what's right. That, no matter what, it affects the individuals involved, the other children, the family members, the wife, no matter.
Our friend, we have a friend, like I said, she's probably not going to want to hear it either, but she don't really want to, again, we were saying the baby mama, whatever, was making it hard for our friend, her and him, to be a father to the kid, but she don't even want to be a part of it. But we, at first it was like we had to talk her into it, like, but look, it's an innocent child involved. You know what I mean?
And now, throughout time, because time can heal wounds.
Now they're more both acceptable to doing it if the baby mama stop tripping, though.
But she still wants that individual, and that's the problem, and that's how she messed it up. And when you start involving courts, and you let anger, everybody, to get through this, you have to lead with love, and love can cure all things. Right. So I wanted to say out there to the women who are married to these men who have had loved children, who have stepped out on their wives or stepped out on you and have had a baby behind your back, and now you know about it and you're faced with this reality. And you know, not only is William Murphy's wife in this situation, Rashida was in this situation. My mother was in this situation. You know, Lala Anthony, a very beautiful woman, is in this situation. You know, Evander Holyfield, Michael Jackson's father, Joe Jackson. Right. There's a lot of men out there, politicians, and we can keep going on and on, even down to Jesse Jackson, child.
You know what? I have a question.
Yes.
Do we know of a case where a woman was married and she stepped out on her husband and the wife was pregnant? You know? Because I'm sure there is. I'm sure
it's on the OWN network. It's a show called what's that show called?
No, man, I'm talking about reality.
I'm for real though. No. What's our show that we need to be watching? No, not the Have and the Have Nots. It's another show.
I mean,
but it happened.
I have
on the show.
In my biological father's family, okay, in my biological father, and that side of the family, it was also a hot mess. Because also, you know, let me just not expose one side of the family. I'll go ahead and expose my biological side of the family as well. My grandmother was in a relationship with a man who was married. Right. And apparently my father was a love child. Okay. And he didn't have his father in his life. And that man had another wife. But, you know, women, and especially my grandmother is 89, child, you know, they don't talk about that kind of stuff. She held it in her, she kept it a secret for so long that one day she got caught slipping and told me the man's middle name. We all knew what his last name was, but we all wanted to know who is the man, who is the father of our father. And finally, she got caught slipping. I was able to track him through his census records, and basically one thing led to another. The man was jumping off with my grandmother because he had a tumultuous relationship with his current wife, and she was having children outside of their marriage. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She was getting pregnant by other men that weren't in these kids and having kids and fathers, and he was having to be the father of children that weren't even his child.
Right. And I just want to keep it. I wanted to keep it.
So that happened too.
Yeah, because we, you know, we hear about, you know, men.
That's on her daddy's
men.
I'm like, that's on her daddy's side.
That's on my daddy's side. That's on my daddy's side, and that's the story. And my grandmother never said a thing, and she finally got caught slipping. Gave me his middle name. Said his middle name, it had 2 R's in it. Nobody else is spelled like that, and I was able to track him down because his name, first and last name, was very familiar, a common name.
Ancestry.com, family tree, all that stuff.
Census records, child, living relatives, child, and found my uncle, and he told me when I said, hey, this is who I am. This is supposedly my grandfather. He was like, well, my brother, who's now living, my grandfather was already dead. He said he had a tumultuous relationship. Then come to find out, I was able to link my father and his brother. Okay? Look just alike. They have the same father, different mothers. But come to find out, that uncle then told me, and what's up, D-Light? Producer D-Light is on, our friend, your friend, our friend. D-Light is on.
See the comments. What's up with
he said, what's good, fam? He said, what's good, fam? We're talking about right now, we're talking about on our show and infidelity in relationships. We know y'all have that, and you and your wife, they're beautiful. Like, y'all whole relationship is beautiful, the kids beautiful, everything beautiful. Everything beautiful.
So beautiful.
Everything's so beautiful over there. I'm coming out there to the valley or Calabasas or wherever y'all at. I'm coming to see y'all. Okay? Everything beautiful. So, but at the end of the day, he's the one who told me that, you know, basically my siblings weren't even my dad's. Like, literally, your father is my biological father, blood brother through the same father, because my mother's children aren't really my dad's children. So women do it too. And this was, this back in the 40s and 50s. This was jumping off. So this has been happening, and families have been covering up, because guess what happened? When my grandmother went to this woman's house and said, this is your son's son. And I wanted to introduce you. You know that older woman that, you know, back in her generation was even worse. You know, my grandmother was trying to cover it up and not tell anybody, but it didn't make it any better when she came and said, you know, that lady shoved my grandmother out. She said, honey, you better get off my doorstep with all that, and your son. Take you and your son and get off my doorstep or I'll call the police. Because guess what? My son is married. So why you coming to my doorstep with this bull? Mm-hmm. See? Right. So it's hurtful. My father grew up with an enormous problems. Ended up a drug addict. Ended up on crack. Ended up on Skid Row. I mean, because he didn't have his father in his life. And that's what I wanted to really say and get out of this show. I prayed over this. I said, Lord, we got so much secrets in our family and nobody really wants to talk about it. I need healing. Obviously, our stepsister needs healing. My father needs healing. It's a lot of secrets that's being covered up. And for the most part, the children, the love child, is the one that's actually suffering. Because they're the ones growing up in society that have to deal with anger. They're going to grow up with being ashamed and embarrassed. They're going to be the one that grows up. And Deli says, my father didn't find out who his father was until he was 21. Wow. Hard. We talked about that going on. This has been happening, and if we don't correct it now in this generation, it's going to continue to happen. And y'all already see what's happening to today's society. These children, these kids are confused. These boys are acting like girls. They're effeminate, and they're in jail, get incarcerated. They don't give a damn. They get facial tattoos all over themselves. Oh my goodness! The world is going crazy, y'all. And then Delight also said, and my grandmother denied it all the way to her grave. So did my grandmother's, my great-grandmother. She denied it all the way to her grave. She never accepted my father. Then my father said, you know, they still lived in the same place in Compton, so I decided to go and take you. I had you thinking, here, I'm going to bring this beautiful little girl to her doorstep, and maybe she'll accept me then. Because now I have a daughter, and I'm going to come. She told my dad the same thing. If you don't get off my doorstep with that high yellow baby, I'm going to call the police. She didn't want no parts of it. So she also, somebody said, damn, this is deep. I mean, these are real secrets. This is secrets, y'all, that's happening in people's family, and the children's are the one. Without a father in my life, because then I was then a product of a father who didn't have a father, so he didn't know how to be a father, and he didn't know how to be a provider, and he was hurting, and hurt people. So now I'm hurting. He's hurting, so now that is it just turns into it definitely turns into a domino effect. It trickles down. Your dad, you know, I don't really know that Ebony and I, if people don't know, we have the same mothers and we have the same mother and not the same dad. Different dad. But then the common denominator is my mother married our stepdad, and she was married to this man for 30 years, and he helped me raise my son, and he was a good father. He was a good father figure, a good provider. And that is, and we've talked about him too, because not only, we're not trying to shame him, we love him. Can't talk to him about this because it seems like he wants to just perpetuate this everything is okay attitude that nobody really want to talk about it. That we know this little girl exists, and we know that you're with her, and you were cheating with her with my mama, and everybody knows, and ain't nobody saying nothing. That's why I became such an active father. That's right, Delight. And William Murphy, we're not trying to shame you either, baby. You are a great man of God. And I think your church, your congregation, I think your fans, they would appreciate you standing up and saying, even if it's your wife, because I want to talk to the wives, and even the person that we know. Forgiveness is everything, too. Yeah, like our parents and them secrets. Our parents and them secrets. Somebody, Bebe the Realist says, somebody has to step and break the generational curse. We be talking about that generational curse. The generational curses is so real. It's so real. We really do take the step and break the generational curses. You're absolutely right, because that's what it is. And so, you know, I think that William Murphy, don't be shamed. Don't be ashamed. We all got these secrets in our family. You know, a lot of us didn't have perfect family. William Murphy is probably hurting. I heard something about him and his dad is also a great man of God. He was raised in the church. So we just have to, and that don't make you better than anybody else. It just makes you to have to be more accountable, and you have to do the right thing.
Right.
So it's good to see, Mr. E, you're a great father.
Yeah.
And you were raised with your mother and father, right? Tell us about your upbringing.
Well, actually, my mother and my father, they got a divorce when I was about 6 or 7 years old. So let me tell you what happened with my mother and my father. So they went to college together. They got married. They had me and my brother. And then when I was about 5 or 6, they divorced. So I went about 4 or 5 years without my father. Then I went back to live with my father. Then I came back with my mother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you this. My father's father had more kids on the outside of the family than in the family. And he was mad.
Let me get my fan for that.
It exists. Yeah,
Wow.
it exists, and it's real. And my grandmother, she just dealt with it until she died. They never got a divorce or anything like that. But I mean, this exists, and that whole concept of sweeping everything under the rug, that exists, and that's exists. But we can't keep doing it. How do we heal? How do we stop that? And how do we heal if we sweep everything under the rug?
Love.
Yeah.
Love. See.
Yeah, but we got to expose it.
We have to expose it. And I'm hurting. Yeah. To believe it or not, when I seen that family member last night and she said, you need to talk to him about it. And I said, well, no, I can't talk to him about it. Well, if I can't talk to him about it, I need to talk about it. And I told Ebony, please let me use this platform for I can talk about it. Delight said great fathers are rare species, and so are great mothers. And it's so true, because not all mothers are great mothers and not all fathers are great fathers. So I want to encourage people, when you have children, just know, be the best father and mother that you can be, because that child's future is riding on it. Their success in life, relationship success, is riding on it. It just, they won't be able to really have a successful life if they don't get the right help. Let's look at Matthew Knowles. Hey, this even hit Beyonce, baby. One of the richest people in the world. My kids aren't raised by their biological mother. Okay, you know what? At least they're raised in a loving household with a father and a mother. And kudos to your ex that allows your children to live with you. Yeah. I want to highlight those women, because we don't talk about those women, because that's the problem right now with our friend's situation. She's got a loving relationship in marriage with her husband, but the woman's so hard up in her feelings, she won't allow him to have a relationship with their son. And let me tell you like this about our particular friend. He says, I raised 2 of my children and my kids with my wife. Kudos to you, Delight. You the man. Yeah, you the man, not only musically and in the studio, but you the man in real life, baby. Okay?
No doubt about it.
Mr. E is a good husband, even though it didn't work out, or a good man and a good husband, but it didn't work out with your ex, Kim. Yeah, with my baby mama. A mutual friend, but it didn't work out with you guys. But you stepped up to the plate and you guys work it out. Kudos to those women who they can put their feelings aside, and they can put themselves aside and put the children first, because that's what it should be about.
That's what it's about. As parents, mothers, fathers, if we can just manage to put the kids first, because we're going to always make mistakes. If we can manage to put the kids first, then that could be the step towards breaking the generational curse.
You said that. You said that. You said that. So now are you happy that we did the show? Because y'all, we only got 8 minutes left to the show. Ebony didn't want to do sex tips because she felt like it was going to be too hard to
I'm gonna come in talking about some positions.
But I got people want to know.
Okay, so we got 8 minutes left. So it's that time, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Love and War podcast, on the Love and War talk show. I'm your girl D-Light. This is Ebony Mosaic and Mr. E. What's up with people want to know?
All right. Well, we do the people want to know because we pry into each other's business. We're gonna expose it all. We're not gonna hide nothing. So
I thought
that's why we
do
do the people want to know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, we're gonna expose.
Oh hell. Go ahead.
I'm listening.
And seeing as though you were the one that came up with this, D-Light, I want to pry a little more into you and your business, but I also want you to tap into this. So I'm going to ask you this. This is more a married question.
Okay.
So this is for you, D-Light.
Jesus.
Do you think that this, you would be mentally and emotionally stable enough that should your husband make a mistake, that you could put the kid first?
Lord have mercy.
And could you stay and could you stick around?
Jesus have mercy. This is tough. Let me tell you, number one, let me say this.
What up, Tina?
My husband does have 2 children with his ex-wife. And everything was all good until we got married. You know, and me and her just can't get along for some reason. And
that's what happened.
It's just
that's how it goes.
she tripping. Her kids love me. Yeah. I've been good to her kids, and I was out here actually helping her raise one of the children, because one of them, the oldest one, was giving him problems, and we moved him here to California, and she wanted the child back a year or so later, and but she never once, I felt like there was no appreciation. There was no communication. Mm-hmm. She was in her feelings and have continued to be in her feelings. And then she tell me, I don't want your husband. I don't want him. What's up, Tina? I don't want him. But it's like, but you acting that way. If you can put your feelings to the side, maybe we can all move forward and have an amicable relationship and be a good family for these children. I would love to be able to.
He's talking about, like, say Bobby came home tomorrow.
I know, but I just wanted to get that out too. I wanted to get that out because I don't have a problem with her.
I was gonna let you get that out.
He says I think that there is some special book that baby mamas read because they all do the same shit. Don't
mine too.
I mean, why can't they just get along? Lord have mercy.
And I don't want to interrupt you. but I want to say this.
Yeah.
I tell my wife this all the time. I say, see, now you get to see what dudes talk about when we talk about baby mamas. I don't think we be telling the truth.
No, I know y'all tell. I know now. I know now. I know now because and then my thing is, child, let me tell you like this, honey. And see, she don't like me, and we run out of time here. But she don't like me because she called me with all that when we were trying to have a relationship and talk. Number one, I got to talk. She got to always want to pop off at your husband want me. He always trying to get back to me. Don't you notice he always call me when you're not around? And I'm like, you know what? No, I give him space to talk to you on his own because I ain't got to be in all his conversations. I ain't no jealous ass chick. And if he wanted your ass, he would be with your ass. So I'm thinking that in my head, but I let her make it. I listen to her. But let me tell you like this, child. I raised my son by myself with my stepdad. So salute to him, because not only did he help my mama raise her kids, he actually helped me raise my son too. So I love my stepdad. I can't never say nothing bad about him.
More Than Love podcast said, word, you know what they say, it takes a village to raise a child.
You know what I mean? So my stepdad helped me raise my child. I helped but I raised him on my own without a father. My son's
everybody's kids. He really did.
You know, he raised his grandchildren. I mean, we can't say nothing.
My horseback rides with him. I don't really have a lot of childhood memories with my real dad, but I remember doing stuff
you know, he was like her. She used to call him her daddy.
I call him daddy. I'm 37 years old. I still call him daddy.
It ain't her daddy, but that's her daddy. You can't say nothing about her daddy. Now, me and him have a little more different type of relationship because I was a little bit older.
We won't say his name, but
okay. But at the end of the day, can't nobody ever take that away that man helped raise his children. He raised his niece, his grandchildren, and he raised everybody. But we don't understand why he didn't help raise that girl. But we don't really know that because I ain't never.
He did help.
I guess he,
but
financially.
She just was hidden.
But emotionally, she was hidden. And now that's why we did this conversation. Anyways, Mr. E, could I keep my husband after he? That's your question. I'm gonna answer that question. Okay,
she went all the way around the damn race.
You know what?
Okay.
You know what?
We'll cross. Oh, we're out of time.
That bridge, if we ever get. God willing, we'll never have to get there,
right?
And never, my husband will have to cheat on me, and hopefully, we never have to deal with that. And I would have to cross that bridge. It's hard to answer that question because that's a tough one. And my heart goes out to every wife that has to deal with a woman that comes to the table and says, I have your husband's child. I'm expecting your husband's child, or I just gave birth to your husband's child, or 10 years later, this is your husband's child. I've been holding it a secret. My heart goes out to all y'all. Okay, but
you know what? That's why they be bitter. They be bitter because they thought they had one up until they realized that that man wasn't going nowhere. Then you want to try to tell the child that the man ain't shit. Now, yeah, he ain't shit, but you wasn't shit either.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's
D-Light said his wife would dip. And I can't sit up here and claim everybody got to have love and then sit up on there and say I'd leave my husband. Okay?
Because you don't know what you're going to do until you put in that situation, really.
I hate that face that I made, but that's just
you don't know what you're going to do.
You never going to know, but it's 58 after the hour.
All I said is if you do take the man back after he cheated, you might as well accept the child.
You know, he said, like you said, you wouldn't blame your wife, and I wouldn't blame her either. But if you going to leave, leave. If you going to stay, then you going to have to deal with the consequences of having that other child, because it's not that child's fault. And we got to think about that child. And and women, if you find yourself in a situation, you need to put the child first. People got to start putting these children first, because it mess up their life and they mess up their future, and that's what we don't want. Okay? This was the Love and War Show, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hey, if y'all got a topic for our show, make sure y'all email us at loveandwartalk@gmail.com.
That's right.
Follow the Love and War Talk page on IG too, y'all, and on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page.
That's right, Mr. E. I wouldn't stay with her if she gets pregnant by someone else also.
Okay, well, that's what we really should have asked. But what do y'all men think? What would y'all do if the shoe was on the other foot? But that's on the next show.
I'm gone.
You gone. Mr. E, we'll be back.
9 months?
9 months? We'll be back on Thursday.
I watched the show. They got all that going on.
We'll be back on Thursday. And next Sunday for sure, Mr. E, you going to be with us.
Oh, yeah.
All right. 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time out there with Mr. E and everybody on the East Coast, 7 p.m.
Yes, thank y'all for tuning in.
We love y'all. Love you so much for watching and listening. Email us, follow us. Love y'all. Bye, baby. Shout out to everybody that was on watching us live.
My husband said he's going to go home.
Everybody. Love y'all. Have a good one. Hey, of love.